and Node. And we have a brand new guest today. Nathan James is here from Pinax. Nathan is a new member of the Pinax team. How's it going, buddy? Welcome to the Graph ecosystem and welcome to your first episode of Graph Builders Office Hours. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Thanks, Marcus. Very, very nice to be here. I'm excited to go through the new updates from Pinax's token API with everybody, and let's kick it off.
Yeah, let's kick it off. So, few announcements. If you are in our Discord, I am live streaming on Riverside right now. I've dropped a link into that location. So, you'll be able to see and hear our guest very well through there. And feel free to drop questions in the Discord. I'm happy to go to that location to get some of the questions to our guest, as well as if you're out there on Graph Devs, hello as well. Feel free to watch, learn, and enjoy what Nathan has to share today. Last announcement really is this is going to be the last episode of the year. We have the next few weeks off for a break. But in the meantime, what Nathan's going to be going over today will be absolutely enough to keep you guys tided over. It's a brand new SDK from what I hear. Is that the case, Nathan?
That is the
Oh,
case, yes.
there we go. Got the audio back. We're back. All right. So yeah, let's go into that. There's an SDK you're sharing about today. What's the high level overview of this SDK?
Sure. So I work in developer relations. Developer relations, for the most part, is about lowering activation time and frustration for developers. And one of the first things that I noticed when I came on board with Pinax is that there's there was only a way to show users how to do this with just fetch calls from let's say Node.js or just JavaScript on the browser. Um, and the setup there is a little bit arduous for people. It could have been simpler, and also you don't get code completion or code hinting or any of that kind of stuff when you're just doing raw fetch calls. You have to go and search through the docs for API routes and whatnot. Um, and the first thing that I like to tackle when I come on board with a new company is just to try to minimize the amount of frustration that developers have to sift through when they're trying to get onboarded, because that makes the biggest impact for them being able to build whatever they want. Right? They're there for a reason.
Mhm.
They're there because they have a problem. They're trying to solve it, and it's your job to get them to solving it as quickly as possible. So the SDK kind of just wraps all of our API routes in a way that is TypeScript friendly, so that you can use dot notation to pop up hinting. You have parameters explained to you within your IDE, your integrated development environment, whatever it might be. And then kind of gives you a nicer experience of how to go through that. This SDK is just a TypeScript SDK. However, I did update the documentation to add how to use the fetch alternative for a bunch of other common languages, Go and Rust and whatnot. So this is kind of just the first iteration of reducing that developer friction for onboarding.
Very nice. These little tiny things, that dot notation is nice. All these little ergonomic things, the documentation things, uh, bread and butter for DevRel.
Absolutely.
Um, let's back up a little bit, Nathan. I want to get to know you a little bit. It seems like you know what you're talking about, jumping into talking about Node and dot notation and IntelliSense kind of world. You've been DevRel for a while. You've been in the software industry for how long now?
I've been a software developer slash engineer, whatever your nomenclature is, for about 18 years.
Mhm.
I did Web 2 development for quite a long time, about 10 years of those 18 years, contracting for most of it. I didn't really want to go and search for large companies. I like working on smaller things at faster paces.
Mhm.
I must have done, I don't know, 300, 400 different projects within that 10-year span, ranging from websites to mobile development to games, whether they're mobile or larger scale games with Unity 3D or um, Unreal Engine. And then I did a project for somebody who was like, "Hey, I want to pay you in Bitcoin." I'm like, "I don't want your funny money," and I rejected it, which was
was
about
was
$10,000 at the time.
was their name Satoshi? That would have been really cool.
No, no, I probably also would have rejected that one at the time, not now. Um, but I did. They did give me a little bit of Bitcoin to integrate kind of Bitcoin payments with.
Hmm.
And then it sat in my Coinbase account for like, I don't know, must have been 4 or 5 years, and then
Hmm.
2017 came around and all that big spike, and I was like, huh, I wonder if
Hmm.
I have any of that stuff in Coinbase. And I did, and it was worth quite a lot more than the $400 than that it originally was. And that guy got me kind of exploring the rabbit hole of blockchain. Then I went on and built a wallet, which I grew to about 500,000 downloads, 200,000 monthly active users, about $4 billion of assets under self custody. Did a lot of dApps and core protocol development after that with a couple different companies. And then the last place that I was doing developer relations. I was director of developer relations at a foundation. Um, there was a big overlap with developer relations when I was doing that wallet because, as a wallet developer, you have to show people how to integrate the wallet. You're hand holding them to developing their apps. I also created a bunch of the SDKs that were kind of foundational level between the blockchain and dApp development. So kind of a little bit of everything in blockchain. I've done a bunch of staking protocols and, just protocol level development and everything in between.
Very cool. Well, nice to get to know you, and I'm looking forward to having you on this episode and many others coming in the next few weeks to months. We've got so much to talk about with all of the different options for developers in the Graph ecosystem, and I'm looking forward to seeing what your thoughts are with so many years under your belt, both in development and developer relations, onboarding and activation, and really just smoothing out that first 20-minute process. I would maybe 10.
Oof,
It
20
seems like
minutes.
that.
That's too long.
I know it seems like it's getting shorter every week.
3 minutes
Like,
tops.
yeah, like how quickly can we get to
Hey, if
hello
you can't create
world?
an application in 3 minutes in today's AI world, what are you even doing,
Yeah, exactly. Just gonna just kind of just telepath it into existence
right?
with this next iteration of Claude. So the uh, the new push you just got brought on, and let's just bring it back to today. With all that experience, you took a look at the token API and you got cracking. What was that experience like? What was the first steps that you took to really begin to beef up the developer experience with Token API and the SDK?
Sure. So often I find that it's usually not the SDK, or sorry, it's not usually the API or the service itself that needs the most help, because you can't really track that until you fix the other things. So there are some general foundational DevRel elements that need to be in place first. Analytics is probably the biggest one. If you have no way to track things, you have no way to measure them. And if you have no way to measure them, you have no way to make good decisions. You're kind of
Mhm.
just throwing things at the wall. So analytics, expanding the analytics efforts is a really big one for me. And then after that, I kind of, which really helps me as a new person into a company who has never seen or interacted with the product before, but I kind of go through the product as a new user. So I'll try to find it on Google or wherever else it might be first to see how they might find it, using a bunch of different keywords based on the problem set that they're trying to solve, seeing where they appear in the rankings and where they appear in different social sites, Reddit, Twitter,
Cool.
LinkedIn, etc. And then I start digging in to actual account creation and usage of the product. So going, and I time all of this with a stop timer. I see how long it takes to create. I see how long it takes to first go into the website and find the documentation. Then how long it takes to create an account and generate an API key if necessary. Then how long it takes to go from the very top of the quick start to the very first aha moment. So you using the service in a way that doesn't fail out or error or something like
Mhm.
that. And usually that should be about 30 seconds. If it's anything more than that, probably do some work on reducing that. And that's the first thing that I do. And then after that, you have the second phase, which is kind of like the I get it moment, where you've integrated this into something which is actually solving your problem, something that isn't outlined in the doc specifically, but you've understood the service enough to be able to solve the problem that you have.
Nice. That aha moment, I feel, is the bread and butter for developer relations to get to that ASAP.
It's so hard too.
Well, that's the thing because you're you're providing someone the letter B or the letter C, and be like, this is a very well designed letter C or letter B or letter
Right.
F, whatever letter it is, very well designed. But where does it begin and end in terms of someone's sentence that they're trying to write? Like,
Mhm.
how are you trying to insert that letter into someone's very complex sentence? And contextually, that changes minute to minute. So yes, the win that we're all trying to achieve, and the DevRel cabal, I call it. The the we have a czar. We can't say who that is, but
No, we can't.
we can't. Very
It's
very
like QAnon. You're not allowed to.
Yes, it's a very much a QAnon type of world here. The next steps I think is for DevRel to get to that moment of success is to like, okay, we I like the metrics that you're talking about, and then you're saying, okay, how can we find that ASAP? And then you chose SDK. You were a big part of this, correct? With the Token API SDK.
I was a driver for it, but a lot of it was done by the actual Pinax team.
Shout out to the Pinax team,
Yeah,
and you
shout
know
out
who
to
you
Denis
are.
in particular.
Yeah, shout out to Denis. What was that process like, getting this from
5 minutes.
awareness of the metrics to then this call?
Um, I guess. What do you mean by awareness of the metrics? So
Well, I
just
mean, you said you
identifying this as a problem.
yeah, you essentially said, well, we need to get the metrics. That's one of the first things you like to do, and then
Mm.
from there, yes, identifying it as a problem, and then from there, getting it over the line.
So I think that the SDK itself is a little bit outside of the metrics. This was done
Mm,
before we actually started integrating some of those metrics. So it wasn't a call based on data. It was a call based on uh, normalization across the industry, right? If
mm,
you go to most providers, they have some kind of SDK, and you can
mhm.
actually look at the providers that don't have SDK and pinpoint problems very quickly that their readers are going to suffer from their docs or whatever.
Sure.
And then the choice for TypeScript specifically is just because if you look at Stack Overflow's developer reports for the past 10 years, JavaScript slash TypeScript is up there all the time.
Correct.
It's number
Correct.
one.
It's you could bet against a lot of things and bet for things. I would continue to bet for a TypeScript, JavaScript for
Absolutely.
years to come. It's just bet on
Python has grown
Python.
a lot this year, probably because of AI, but it still hasn't even reached close to JavaScript.
Yeah, I one of my first developers that I had on here, he was born and raised in India and did not speak any English. And the first words of English that he learned was through JavaScript, and that's how he learned the English language. And I was like,
That's awesome.
I mean, it's so cool. And like, of course, this guy's a 10x dev. Like when you're born into
For sure. Yeah.
JavaScript, like yeah,
He
that was
doesn't
being
speak anything anymore, just JavaScript.
it's just how he compiles now. He's
I mean, most developers that I've spoken to that have been developers for a long time, you've had dreams in code, right? And they might not have been truly in code, but you have dreams where you're sitting there coding and you're like thinking processes in code and whatnot. So
yeah.
it definitely seeps into our psyche.
Nightmares? Is that more
Yeah,
accurate?
never. Know what are you talking about? These aren't tears. I don't know what.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, I feel like I've gotten to know you. I've gotten to know your background, and I've gotten to know the motivation behind what you're going to share today. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the developers about the Token API SDK? What would be like a 5 second, 10 second like takeaway that you'd love for them to have about the SDK for Token API?
I can give kind of a first-hand example. So I built some stuff before the SDK was available, and it was a little arduous. And today we wanted to kind of explore with the recent Polygon. Uh, I won't call it crash, but like the nodes, there was a problem with the nodes and RPCs and whatnot for a couple of
Mm,
providers. So we wanted to see if that actually had any impact on chain data.
mm.
And I set up a script to do it in about, I don't know, 30 seconds using the SDK
Cool.
because it was all just, auto completion with the dot notation. And there is nothing. There were surprisingly no side effects to the chain at all. We looked at like DEX throughput and whatnot. But it was a very, very easy process, which is always good to see as you dog food your own stuff.
Cool. That is nice. Yeah, to see no red.
Yes.
Um, so for developers who are out there who say, okay, well, I want that power within 30 seconds
Mm.
to go ahead and get going and have that aha moment, how would they get going? What would be your desire for them to get going with this as quickly as possible?
You should visit the docs. I mean, that's always going to be the answer, right? Like we
Yep,
work so
always.
hard on making the docs so easy for people to use that pushing them to the docs is probably always the best.
Perfect, perfect. So, the let's back up a little bit. If you've been hopping around the crypto world for a while now, you're at Pinax, which is in the another core developer in the graph ecosystem. Have you? What was your experience with the graph, with subgraphs, with Pinax, with this? What was it like getting in here from the outside, and then now that you're in here, what's that been like for you personally?
I mean, first off, everyone in the graph is great. I haven't met a single person that I don't like, which I generally like everybody, but it's been really nice to be around such great people. I also know a lot of the Pinax team from before. We worked together in various ecosystems, so it was a very soft landing in terms of just knowing the people. Um, for the graph specifically, I have had some experience with subgraphs, albeit not enough because I just didn't work in ecosystems that typically had access to them. Although some of the core technology did come from a larger ecosystem that I work with, which was EOS, which is now Volta, and Firehose and all of that stuff kind of came. It was the brainchild of some of the people that originated from that ecosystem, and I think it was first implemented on those stacks as well. So I was able to kind of see that in a way that most other people don't because I saw it kind of growing up, so to speak, and then becoming what it is today, which is amazing to see as a journey for a product and developers who develop that product. And I'm very happy for them, very happy for the graph to have been able to utilize that so well. Um, the the token API speaks specifically to me because I'm the type of developer that kind of wants that a little bit more abstracted thing so that I can develop quickly. I'm all about reaching users as quickly as possible, developing MVPs to make sure that something has product market fit. And generally, services that are similar to the token API are things that I gravitate to. So whether it's Alchemy or Moralis or QuickNode or those kind of similar services that always gets me in first versus having
Mm,
to go a little bit lower level, I should say. And then I very rarely find the requirement to step past that once things do find product market fit, because I think that there's a very small percentage of when you actually have to cross that threshold into getting more performance.
mhm.
It's usually for much larger applications, enterprise,
Yep.
things that need a lot of speed. Maybe they're doing analysis or something like that, and that's
Yeah.
not typically products that I like to work on personally.
Mhm.
So the token API is a really good gateway for people like me, which I think that there are quite a lot of people like me.
Mhm.
And the second that I heard that they were building that, I was quite interested.
It is a good onboarding into the graph ecosystem and understanding all the different data options out there.
Gateway drug.
It is, and no pun intended, because there's the amount of gateway talks that I've had are
Yes,
plenty.
pun fully intended.
Yes, but pun fully intended. Yeah, shout out to Theo, who's working on the gateway every single day. Um, uh, the gateway drug, if you will, of token API, open, high, low, close volume, first, last, like very approachable. It's an endpoint. Hit
Mhm.
it, get your data, build, and if you're a developer and not at that maybe enterprise level state of having millions and millions of users, and you have a small to medium sized team and you want to build fast and break and try things new, I mean, there's not a whole lot of other products out there
Mhm.
that are just ready to go, especially that its foundation is Firehose. The foundation is you're getting Chainhead, you're getting that sub-second latency that's just kind of fundamental with anything that you really want to build. That's
I think
interesting.
it's
Uh,
really nice to have all of these. So we are talking about the token API, and I did kind of sidestep over substreams and Firehose, I guess, as a product itself. But there's immense power for having all of those things under the same umbrella. So you're not necessarily vendor locked in into that quote unquote smaller service. I don't really want to call Token API a smaller service, but a more abstracted service.
Hmm.
You do have the ability to migrate within the same umbrella stack into something as you reach those needs, because if you do find exceedingly large product market fit, you will eventually have to start focusing more on performance, and then
Hmm.
you have a pretty nice, easy pathway to something else.
Yep, yep. That's what it feels like. I've talked with many developers. Subgraphs came out many years ago, and then now with substreams and now with Token API, the offerings, well, of course, also Firehose, the offerings are just, I think they reflect the complexity of the industry in which that has evolved so much in just a few months, let alone
And the
years.
necessity for these things.
Yeah, yeah, the necessity. It's fun. It's fun to be at this location, especially as DevRel, where I'm learning every single day. Just
Yeah, you learn a lot as a developer. You learn way more as a dev role, right?
it feels like when developing and like building things, you get into this little hidey hole, and you're just by nature you're in this kind of myopic world of exactly the infrastructure, and you look up and you're like, how could nobody understand what I'm doing here? This
Right,
is brilliant.
right.
And
It's like, maybe I'm not explaining this well.
exactly, and then that's where we come in of just like,
Right.
okay, trying to get rubber to road
It is a
in.
hard thing, honestly,
Yeah.
because you get into development. Not everybody, but a lot of people get into development because we just want to sit in front of a computer and speak to a computer all day.
Mm,
And then as DevRel, you kind of have to take that back a step and be like, wait, I also like speaking to people, but I
mm,
kind of forgot how to speak to people
mm-hmm.
in a
Yeah.
developer way because I've just been head down coding for so long. So
Yeah.
you do have to kind of relearn some of those skill sets
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting your background, the coding, and then for so many years, and then coming up to
to
now more
DevRel.
communicative. Yes, exactly. That must have been an evolution for yourself. So I want to go into what you see for now that the SDK is in the market, and now it's go to the docs, go everyone out there who's watching, go check it out,
The
go.
graph dot market.
Yes, the graph app market. Yes. The next steps for Token API and its evolution. I know you can't speak for Pinax, and I know you can't speak for a lot of different people in the team. I'm not looking for a roadmap, but what would you like to see evolve out of it if you could just dream a little bit of seeing where Token API could go and what you'd like to have?
I mean, I'm a very practical person, especially when it comes to developer tooling. I have always found that if I can put in an extra little bit of work on my side, the 5-10 minutes to sit down and do something to make things easier for everybody else, that means they don't have to spend the 5-10 minutes across everyone separately. So that's the kind of stuff that I gravitate to the most. There is a little bit of incongruencies at the moment between the API routes and kind of the parameters they expect. That was something that we highlighted very, very early on as I came in.
Hmm.
So there is a push to make those aligned and standardized across all of those API routes. Don't worry, we won't break anything if you're already integrated. We'll do this in a non-breaking way. But that kind of stuff is where I'd really like to see things moving. I think that the addition of more networks, the addition of more capabilities for the token API is going to be a big driver, but ultimately the speed at which somebody can implement those things using our tooling and infrastructure is going to be the biggest boon, not only for us, but particularly for the integrators.
Cool, cool. I have an unofficial answer. Could I share my answer?
Sure.
Chains.
Chains. It's all about chains, right? I mean, that's always part of the work that any of these services do. The second that you support one more than one chain, it's like, okay, what's next?
What about this chain? What about this chain?
Mhm.
It is a I've been here for almost 3 years, and if it's I always say people come up to me at events or we'll be talking about what about this? What about this? I'm like, it depends. It
Right.
depends. What chain are you looking for? What type of data do you want, and what type of infrastructure do you want to use? Do you want to self-host? Do you want us to host it? It all depends. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's actually a great point too, because a lot of companies will just hear somebody saying, "Hey, we want, I don't know, Monad," right? That's
sure.
one that a lot of people are integrating now. And then they'll go back internally and they'll just start making their own decisions. But having those discussions with people who actually want these things and are potential integrators goes way further than trying to make those decisions yourself, because you don't really know what they want. You have to kind
And
of have the
and they
discussions.
probably don't either at the time because they're investigating and what they
Right.
want week 2 to week 3 of investigating, and they
It's very
might,
different.
yeah, might, oh man, I didn't know about this because, well, this is the natural evolution of a conversation, and
Yeah.
let's go ahead and figure out how we can
It's
help.
really hard with the newer chains too, because even you're not a subject matter expert. It's impossible to be a subject matter expert on every single blockchain that's coming out. I mean, it's a little ridiculous at this point.
I think the whole idea of subject matter expert is a little bit dangerous unless you're like I'm like, oh boy, like
I'm a
there's
subject matter enthusiast.
yeah. That is a very good place to be if you're a subject matter
Yes.
enthusiast as a career. That's a good one.
Doesn't
um,
always work out.
yeah, I mean, it's that is okay. I'm okay with that. Well, Nathan, I feel like I've gotten to know you. I feel like the audience has gotten to know you a little bit. We've been on here for about half an hour. I feel like we've covered a good amount of information. Is there anything else that you'd want to go on into that we've maybe missed that you feel like the audience might benefit from knowing?
Sure. So there was to kind of release this. Let me pull this up. To kind of release the token SDK, because just putting out a message, hey, we released a token SDK, it's a little boring and bland. I did create something called Hydroscan, which is a way for you to visualize these fish going across the screen, and they're actually transfers. So the size of the fish, or the type of the fish, whether it's a blue whale or a shrimp or something like that, is dictated by the size of the transfer versus the total supply.
That's fun.
So there's a video that goes into how to actually build that, not the UI part, because that was quite an intense labor effort, but just the integration of the UI with the Token API SDK. And there's, of course, an open source repository which has that SDK. If you go to hydroscan, hydroscan.pinax.network, then you can actually see this live. And there's a link to the Token API docs on the top right. I am just noticing that there's no link to the YouTube video there. I'll probably push out a fix for that very, very soon.
I'm dropping it in the chats right now. So
Thank you.
and it's always chasing tails with, oh, we forgot that little part of the docs or the
Always.
video or the link. It's just,
But there's
it's
nowhere to
part,
put the button now.
it's just the life cycle, I think, of
Yeah.
being in this interface between the PRs of an incredibly talented engineering team and the market. So that's
I will
fun
say, on that note, I will say that that Hydroscan does not support mobile, because of course DevRel, we're not focused on making production ready applications. We're focused on showcasing something. So if you're on mobile, sorry, I hope your
Sorry.
phone doesn't burn your hand.
The client will forgive you. Okay, so next steps for you. Is there anything coming up in the new year that you're looking for personally? Is there something friends,
I
family,
haven't
any
been with
trips?
Pinax long enough to know what I'm allowed and not allowed to share. So I'm gonna hold my tongue on that one.
We're just gonna say thumbs up, and that'll be it. Well,
I will
Nathan.
say before that, because I was given a little bit of a list, there are some new DEX endpoints available in the API, which are, I think, rolling out today. Might have already rolled out. It's Balancer, Curify, Uniswap V1. It's kind of a way to give people a little bit of legacy and historical access, so they can paint a better picture of their entire holistic finances over time.
Very nice. Something to look forward to, devs. Okay, well, Nathan James, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to the next episode of the Office Hours with you, whenever that might be. And to you and your friends and family, Happy New Year. And to the devs out there who are watching on Graph Devs on Discord, Happy New Year as well. And may you have a great, great time with family and friends. So, anything else
Likewise
to
to you.
add to that? Does that sound good?
Happy holidays to you and everyone else.
Awesome. Awesome. So, if you could stay on the tab, that'd be great. I'm going to close the stream. And for those of you in Discord, take care, everybody. And have a good rest of your day.
Been a pleasure.
Boom.